Hello, this is Maciej Mikos welcoming you back to World Talks, where every word matters. U.S. Senator from Ohio, JD Vance, has been chosen by Donald Trump as his running mate in the upcoming presidential election. What does the nomination of JD Vance mean for the future of the U.S. and its allies around the world? And can he boost Trump's chances in the race for the White House? Now, to discuss it, we're joined by Zbigniew Pisarski, president of the Pulaski Foundation and expert on American affairs. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So,
first, what it means to us is that we don't have a chance to sleep at night because we have to listen to his speeches. And that was actually my experience from last night. I was trying to follow what he will tell the Americans as a newly designated candidate for vice president.
Has he surprised you?
Well, actually, not that much. As you might know, he's author of one of quite well-received book in U.S.
Hillbilly Elegies.
Exactly. And therefore, Americans know him a bit. Then there was a movie on Netflix also, actually, which I watched just a few days ago on the way from U.S. I'm sorry, I'm a bit still on the jet lag. I just returned from NATO summit and traveling around the South, the Bible Belt of U.S., actually, electorate of Trump, regions and so on, where I had a chance to observe the assassination and the reactions among the society. So JD Vance actually he keeps us awake at night, and particularly our region, and that's the reason why I had to observe what are his key talking points to Americans.
I'd like to ask you specifically about your trip. What was the atmosphere in the U.S. after this assassination attempt you just mentioned?
Actually, it was quite surprising. I was visiting Shreveport, Louisiana, which is very intriguing city at the border of states where casinos are available in the region, which is full of faith in God, and so a lot of different perspectives on American beliefs. But that what surprised me, that the reaction was actually quite calm. Particularly, my reading of it was that Americans got used to shootings, that Americans are familiar with a lot of brutality in a public life, and including use of weapon. And that's something what, from being from Poland, where we have one of the lowest ratings with violence, with the use of weapon, it's something surprising. But actually, the immediate impact was that those that were not in favor of President Trump to re-elect him to the White House, and those that were not in favor as well to Mr. Biden, those who were thinking either not to vote or to support Mr. Robert Kennedy, that they were more eager to support Trump. And even with the families that I had a chance to speak, representing working class of U.S., they said that, yes, we have to support. Maybe this is not in full with our beliefs, but we have to make a decision, because we see that the stake is high and people want to kill each other for political reasons. So it somehow galvanized support around Trump.
Do you think that JD Vance's nomination will gather more such supporters for the Trump camp?
In fact, we are talking about people representing completely two spheres of American society. Mr. Trump, fully privileged from New York downtown, and Mr. JD Vance from Ohio, working class with troubles, hardship of family with drugs and so on. So I think that he will extend the support to President Trump among those representing working class, and that's something what might serve his candidacy.
Now I'd like to ask you about international affairs. Now Europe seems pretty alarmed by this nomination, and well, that's over JD Vance's stance on war in Ukraine. Now, how should Europe react to this news?
I must tell you that
if Trump is elected and in fact JD Vance becomes the next vice president?
Well, a few aspects. First, last week NATO summit fully proved that most of the leaders are very concerned about election results in the US. I mean, I would say that was the main topic of the NATO summit in DC. Second, I had just a couple of weeks ago, I've been as well in DC, and with advocacy trip representing the members of parliament from Weimar countries, Poland, Germany and France, and we're advocating support for Ukraine in a Congress. And among others, we had a meeting with a National Security Advisor to Senator JD Vance. And I must say from all the meetings with Senator Marco Rubio, who simply cheated us, he said that he will support, and then later he voted against support for Ukraine, a number of others which were somehow in the end encouraging. The meeting with National Security Advisor to JD Vance was the most depressing experience we had in DC. This gentleman has a mentality of Yalta. This is a gentleman that is ready to divide the spheres of influence and put countries like Ukraine under the bus without hesitance. And in reference to Crimea, in reference to the Donbas or eastern Ukraine, he said, well...
But you're talking about JD Vance's aide, not...
JD Vance's National Security Advisor.
Right.
So the man who shapes the foreign policy of JD Vance. He said that let's give it to Russia now. We will take care about it in the future. Well, we know what it means, and Poland was under communistic regime for a number of years because of such a way of thinking. So we have, it was really concerning.
You mentioned Poland, and I have to interrupt you here. Now, JD Vance criticized Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk when he chided Republicans for blocking funds for Ukraine. So how this conflict could potentially influence the future relations between Warsaw and Washington?
This is for me evident that Mr. JD Vance has a lot of advisors that are giving him some suggestions what to do, what not. He's not a man that really is interested in international relations. And so I don't believe that he was really concerned about what is happening in Poland. But it means that he is influenced by those who are around him. That's why I'm so concerned about these advisors, because he's still a very fresh member of the Senate, merely 2 years. So he's learning. He's learning, he has a lot of advisors, and right now his decisions will matter. And for the region like Poland, for Central Eastern Europe, I'm really concerned because his narrative is about America first, which means let's focus on domestic issues. And this way of thinking is very dangerous because those people do not understand that American commitment around the world is crucial in a number of regions, and Central Eastern Europe is one of them. And actually, this is the narrative which our politicians, I mean, representing Central Eastern Europe, should keep in mind, that whenever you are making reference to our interests in the region, please make a reference also to China. That if war in Ukraine, for instance, will go the wrong direction, it will be a lesson, immediate lesson for China, and therefore for American interests. Because Americans are much more interested right now in a pivot to the Pacific. This is something what is right now concerning American politics. At least they believe that it is what matters for them. So if we want to be influential, we have to make this reference because it's simply true. And the Chinese are observing the development in Ukraine. If Ukraine fails, the Taiwan shall be afraid about the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it is all well connected. Now, lastly, to sum up our conversation here, are we approaching a point where Ukraine may be actually forced into peace talks with Russia?
Well, I would say that that it's evident in the end that every war has to conclude with some agreement in the end. The question is on which conditions and who will come from the stronger position to those negotiations. And it looks that Ukraine is right now in quite good position, keeping in mind all the experience from the whole war of last 2 years, and the elections in the U.S. are putting Ukraine in an unpredictable future. So I think this is a time for negotiations. So I believe that there is intensive dialogue right now between allies, how to help Ukraine to find solutions or agreement which is acceptable to Ukrainian society, which paid the highest price for it.
Mm-hmm. Lastly, now, Minister Sikorski, he seemed to suggest that he was not actually alarmed by the potential second term for Donald Trump. What makes our foreign minister so sure?
Well, I would say that we have a good minister, so he's preparing himself mentally to deal with Mr. Trump. I think he would prefer not a change in the White House, but he's not in a position to decide who American society will place in the White House in the future. But the starting point is not that bad. I mean, Poland has a quite good image in front of President Trump. So I think that with those references to the good reception of President Trump in Poland, I think we have some good ground to start creating a future cooperation if he will be elected as president. So I think that Mr. Sikorski will be very confident how to build this relation, and I think he has. He knows American politics well enough to maneuver around the DC belt effectively.
No doubt about it. Zbigniew Pisarski, president of the Pulaski Foundation and expert on American affairs, was our guest.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you kindly, and thank you for watching, and of course stay with us for much more here on TVP World.